We've got really weird music today. I thought I would leave that on in the background while we do this. I want to talk today about costochondritis because no one talks about that. So for those of you who don't know costochondritis, we have your ribs. Most people, when you think about ribs, you think about this bit right here. But your ribs is actually, you think about skeleton. Last time you saw a skeleton like on Halloween, the ribs come all the way up here and they form a dome. And they come from down here, about where my tummy is, to about the base of your neck. And they all wrap around from the back of the spine and they come and they attach here in the front. And one of the common, I'm a chiropractor, what we do is we work with joints. I do more than that, but one of the common things that we find is the root cause of people's problems is a joint problem. The thing is, many chiropractors will only focus on some chiropractors focus on the joints of the neck only, some focus only on the ones in the back, some only focus on certain joints. I've never found a reason or a need to restrict which joints I work on. So I will adjust fingers, wrists, hands, elbows, shoulders, and I found many people that's what they needed. That was the thing that was missing in order to get them better. And one of the really common areas I find that goes missing, that goes completely unaddressed, is the joints where these ribs attach to the sternum in the front. I can think maybe of a couple of common reasons. One is that, so when we have pain there, the term that's commonly used is costochondritis. So costo rib, there's a cartilage junction there. So a lot of people won't treat it as a joint because it's not a proper joint. It's not like a joint like in your finger, but it's more like a junction between the rib and the sternum, and it moves a little bit. It doesn't bend, but it does move, and it is an important joint, and it is a joint that can dysfunction, and it is a joint that can cause pain. So I think maybe people not seeing it as a proper joint means that it gets ignored. Also, because of the fact that there's some muscle attachments there, and on females, where I think this problem is more common, because of the breast tissue, a lot of people will seem to want to attribute it to other things. The thing that's shameful about that is, one, for such a common problem, it's not that hard to diagnose. Now, it won't show up on an x-ray, and it won't show up on any sort of blood test. What has to happen is there has to be a practitioner who works with joints all the time, because as a practitioner that does that, you get a feel for how a joint is supposed to feel. And probably some of you think, well, really? I'll give you an example. If you've ever jammed your finger, you can tell right away. You can say, oh, it's swollen, it doesn't move right, and it hurts. That's the same thing that happens just about on any joint that dysfunctions. So you might be able to go through here and check on your own self or on someone you know for joints that hurt. And a lot of times if you do it and if you're good enough, you can tell. If obviously this is not meant for you to diagnose or cure any sort of condition. This is informational only, but you can tell if a joint has a problem or not, if it's a big obvious one, and if you've been doing that for years, you can tell even if it's a subtle one. So the joints are actually really easy to pick out, and the thing is that there's also treatments. Not many chiropractors I think are either trained or well trained in how to correct those, but it's really not that difficult. So a lot of people that will come into our office I check every single joint on everybody, pretty much every visit. So we'll check these joints, and a lot of people will respond, oh, right when we touch on one of these, and they'll say, oh yeah, I've had that my entire life, I've had that several years. And a lot of times they either never brought it up to a doctor, or if they did, the doctor said, well, that's just costochondritis, or they kind of they treat it as if it was a non-issue. It causes a lot of problems. It's not the worst problem in the world, which is maybe why it gets ignored, but it doesn't mean it should be ignored. One is it causes people distress. A lot of people will start to get the feeling that this is maybe a heart issue or a lung issue, and if it is, we should find out. And one of the ways you can find out is by making sure it's not costochondritis. So since costochondritis is so easy to pick out and so easy to treat, why don't we just rule that out first and just deal with it and get it out of the way? The other thing that it does is that it can create, because the ribs come underneath the shoulder and they come around to the back, they can create any sort of muscle problem here in the pectoralis region. They can upset how the shoulder sits on the thorax, because the shoulder blade and the shoulder sit on top of the thorax. So if that rib is pushing out, and yes, it will physically push out, then the shoulder will sit different on the body. And so sometimes you'll see an associated problem on that same shoulder. And also, it will affect how the shoulder is in the back. So some people will feel like they have a continuous muscle knot for years and years and years. And so they have tension, they have pain, they have discomfort, and they have postural dysfunction. All that needs to be done for this is, if you are having some sort of treatment, physical therapists might be able to do this, a massage therapist might be able to do this, a chiropractor should be able to do this, but often won't. Mention it to them. let them know that's a problem, and if you can, point to where it is, because sometimes maybe they might not be extremely well experienced in looking for these things. But if any of those types of practitioners is adept at what they do, they should be able to diagnose, or at least have an inclination towards whether this is a muscular or a bone thing. I will say that, or a connective tissue thing. I will say that as a rule, massage therapists are going to tend to tell you it's a muscular thing. Physical therapists will probably tell you it's a muscular or a connective tissue thing, and chiropractors, I don't know what they will tell you. But the reason I know it is what they say it is because my palpatory skills are good. I actually look for these things, so if you know where your landmarks are, you can find them. Number two is because we correct them all the time, and if it was a muscular or connective tissue thing, that would make no sense. So I want to offer this information for you guys. I hope that it is helpful. I get a lot of people all over now that I make these YouTube videos that ask me for referrals. I will always do my best to do that, but it's really impossible for me to know who knows these things elsewhere. Call people in your local area, look on Yelp, send them emails. I know if someone sends me an email and they say, hey, do you know how to treat this? I'm honest with them. I don't want people in here if I don't know how to treat the problem. So hopefully there's someone good around you. Feel free to contact me or put in the comments. Maybe someone else can spot it out near you. And best of luck. Also, if you guys have success stories with this, like if this helped you, let me know. Put a like and put a comment so people can know how that this is a real thing. Okay. Thanks a lot for watching. Talk to you soon.